sharing that out on Twitter. PTM 248 is live.
All right.
Sweet. Well, that only took way too long. You know what? We're out there. Profile, make sure that is going.
Hey, I got a push notification saying we're live, so that's good.
Awesome. Okay, so that is everything. So, fellas, what we'll do, I'll get started on here. I will, I'll be doing our intro and all that. I'll probably go silent for about 60 to 90 seconds, and then you'll hear me bring everybody on. I'll bring everybody on one at a time, and then yeah, we'll just roll from there. We're pretty easy in terms of what we're doing. We just like to have fun. If you find yourself rolling down some grandpa story or something, we're more than happy to have you keep going. If you have, some long story, sure thing. We're long form here. There's no commercial breaks, no interruptions. And if we only get through half our show sheet or don't even get through or, go completely orthogonal to it, we don't even care. So it's just about having some fun and chilling and, I don't know, just hanging out on a Tuesday night during, quarantine, lockdown, all that mess, at least for us. So let's see. With that, y'all ready to roll? Garrett?
Yep, I'm all set.
All right, Jonathan?
Ready?
All right, Sherwin?
Good to go.
All right, sound levels sound good. So with that, like I said, as soon as I start recording, it'll probably be about 90 seconds, and then I'll be back with you. So here we go. We are recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tug Air Racing Podcast, episode number 248. It's Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. I'm Tug Air Rusty Wallace. I'm in the PTM Podcast Studio all alone in quarantine, week number 14. We've got a bunch of great guests tonight. We can't wait to get to talking to them. Before you do, y'all know what the deal is. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie and some stickers. Best part is, every cent this year, once again, donating to sponsored drivers. So join the PTM Podcast today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show brought to you by our official sponsors at that $5 and up per month level. Those are Aaron Bearden, Robert Keplinger, Coleman McClam, Eric Kepner, Ryan Keeper, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brennan Carl, Kathleen McDonald, Stacey Wright, Brennan Carl, Rika Porter, John Bob Lesmiller, Julie Bosley, John Pearson, Eddie Grid, Third, Younger Motorsports, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Crystal Smoke, Red Rosado, Chad Knapp, and Stacey Coleman, Lisa Chanana, Rick Houston, Sarah Anbari, Evan Roller, Brad Harrison, Matthew Bishop, Matthew Camper, and Harry Bazania. So, with that, y'all. And I had the One Breath sponsorship read, so happy about that. Let's go ahead and bring on the co-host of the PTM Podcast. It's Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
How you doing, man? It's going to be a pleasure to do this show today.
Yeah, a very unique lineup of guests. If you're watching on the YouTube, you can see it right now. If not, we'll go ahead and bring them on one at a time. Our first general manager at the Rich Mar Florist, proudly sponsoring a family of cars in that distinct black and pink paint scheme, on Twitter at Rich Mar Florist. It's Jonathan Morrissey. Jonathan, what's up?
Hey, guys. How are you?
We're doing awesome, man. Appreciate you being on. And, folks might be sitting here thinking, well, why do they have the florist sponsor on? Well, that's because sitting, well, I shouldn't say next to him, but next to him on our little Skype deal here, driver who's in that Rich Mar Florist family of sponsorships with Rick Ware Racing and SS Greenlight Racing on Twitter at Garrett Smithley. It's Garrett Smithley. Garrett, what's happening?
What up, guys? I'm happy to be here. This is a long time coming, guys.
I know it, man. I know
no kidding.
You're you're Peachtree City guy, and hanging out with us here in Georgia. We're just up north on the north side here. You're mostly down on the south side, right?
Yeah, down there. I haven't been down there though for 8 years, and I guess I'm like Martin Truex Jr. I have like multiple home tracks. So I'm originally from Pennsylvania. So super excited to go back to Pocono here in like a week or so. But then, of course, I started my racing career down in Atlanta. So I'm all over the place. Now I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I lived in Northern Virginia for a little bit. So I got family all over the place. I'm local everywhere. It works out.
Well, I'm not too from where I'm from. I'm from Fayetteville. Taught at
Perfect.
McIntosh High School.
That's where I went to
So-
high school, man. Go Chiefs.
Yeah, well, I can't say that because I'm a Tiger, but I understand.
Your mom could say that though, right?
Well, she ended up finishing her career at Sandy Creek, so
Well, hey, at least it's not Stars Mill. Anything
That's
but Stars
right.
Mill.
anything but Stars Mill. I love it.
Oh man, these guys know it. They'll be going on forever, and you know what? Me and Jonathan can just sit back and hang out. That's fine by me. You know, we do have one thing that we ask every time we start the show. What are y'all drinking tonight? Garrett, start with you.
Well, as a typical millennial, I figured I had to go White Claw, right? So I'm drinking a White Claw with my trophy tractor koozie.
There you go.
Sorry, in
Perfect.
advance.
Hey, I like White Claw. It's good stuff.
That's right.
It goes great with bourbon.
Wow, that's a new one. I'll have to try that.
I dig it. Jonathan, what'd you bring to the table today?
Well, I'm drinking this one for Garrett's dad. I got a Rolling Rock here, so that's some Pennsylvania pride for you Southern boys tonight. I got a Rolling Rock in front of me here.
My man.
I love Rolling Rock. Yeah.
Brewed in, well, used to be brewed. It got bought out, but it used to be brewed in Latrobe, which is actually where I was born, the town I was born in Pennsylvania. So
That's awesome.
That's
shout
really
out to
cool.
them.
It's one of the few corn-based beers that are available in the world.
Right.
Now, Sherwin, what you got today?
You know me. I'm sticking to tried and true white label Miller Lite.
Long neck bottle. Let go of my hand. So went to the mountains this weekend and ended up with some Lazy Hiker Brewing Company Trailmate Golden Ale. So North Georgia mountains up there, Blue Ridge area. So we'll see how it is. I just popped it open. No, Franklin, North Carolina. Liars. Well, either way.
Franklin, we go right through there on our way to Bristol.
That's right. We sure do. So, fellas.
We don't even have to go all the way to Asheville anymore to get a good brewery.
That's a good point. We can go straight up there to Franklin. Have at it. Fellas, we have a rare opportunity here to have both a sponsor and a driver on at the same time. I wanted to take advantage of that. Let's start that and talk about some sponsorship, sort of soup to nuts, how it works. So, Jonathan, wanted to start with you here because when we think about sponsors in the series, especially up and coming sponsors, we're usually thinking you probably get this a lot, like construction companies or gas companies or drinks or sports drinks and stuff. And here comes the Richmar Florist into the game. And so just starting with, what really attracted y'all to the sport?
I work with a lot of sports teams in the area, so we work with the highest affiliate of the Phillies and the Phantoms. We work with Pocono Raceway, and pretty much because of Garrett, Spencer Boyd, and Josh Bilecki, we just recently partnered up with Dover Speedway. So a lot of our extra marketing, let's say, is sports-based. We do the run-of-the-mill, billboard, TV, radio, SEO, SEM. But, this is just an awesome thing to be able to, put with the company and build some brand awareness and just do some different things, do some fun things. I have a passion for sports outside of work, so what great way to put, the two things I'm best at, sports and flowers, together. What started off as maybe something just to kind of, get behind the scenes and get some, VIP access has evolved into, something a lot bigger and, has evolved into Richmar Racing. And, we've got three guys and, Garrett has a fire suit on the way. Spencer Boyd's got one. Garrett and Spencer and I are talking about doing some helmets, and Josh Bilecki's got a helmet on the way. So, what really turned into just a passion overall for sports and getting involved in motorsports has definitely evolved very quickly in 3 years.
That's fantastic. I'm curious what the I did see. Here's what it is. I saw somewhere that someone had called you the new Coca-Cola family of racing, considering you're with three teams and multiple drivers out there. How does that make you feel? Is that like, all right, I'm stepping up?
Yeah, it's a different approach, and but I think I kind of took like my own marketing approach to it. I didn't know anything about sponsorship in NASCAR. I didn't know, what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to stick with one guy. and let's face it, I made some great friends out of this thing. And, all those guys are very respectful of each other. The three of us will talk about, different options together, and I value their opinions. But, for me, it gives a diversified approach. Not everybody, might like one driver, they might like another driver. We're hitting different markets. Those guys are from different parts of the country. So, it gives me the opportunity to be in the truck series, and on the Cup level. So, what better way to do it with fan-friendly guys? And it's a unique approach, but I really didn't have any rules. I wasn't anything, I was involved with before, and there wasn't really anybody to kind of guide me and say, well, you can't do this or you can't do that. And we have grown. Our reputation in the garage has definitely grown, and I think it's because people, like Garrett, have embraced our brand and back our brand. But I just came up with the approach on my own, like how I would approach any other marketing opportunity, just like our marketing partners with baseball, or with hockey, or with motorsports. So just brought the same approach to drivers.
That's fantastic. Garrett, so from your side, you get a call from Jonathan, or you get a call from Rich Marr Florist, and they start setting up. What's that process like, for you?
Well, so our first sponsorship together was Martinsville, my debut at Martinsville Speedway, which was, of course, a very special day for me. He was a full wrap on I believe it was the 52 car for Rickware Racing last year. Was it the 52?
Yeah, it was a 52.
Okay, I've driven them all now. I've driven the 51, 52, 53, 54, 77. I mean, I'm 7. I've been all over the place in the Cup Series. It's tough to kind of keep track of everything. But I see it now. I got the YouTube page pulled up now. I see the 52. So
there you go.
I had a cheat sheet now. But no, so that was our first deal together. Had a great time. Had a decent run. We had some brake issues, but we brought the car home in one piece. Got his daughter up on the stage, so we talked her into coming out and doing driver intros with me, and so she of course made me a superstar because everybody was cheering for her and not me. So she had a little pre-race conversation with Kurt Busch, and I should have barged in on it and got some tips from him, but no, it was a really, really cool deal. And from there, we just kind of developed a relationship and stayed in touch. He's a Pennsylvania guy just like me, that they're up there on the opposite side of the state, but I've still got some people over there. And just developed a really cool relationship. And then, we kind of, took things to the next level with this iRacing stuff, which just kind of blew up like bigger than I ever thought. So we've just kind of built it since then, and it's been a really fun journey together.
I think we sort of made it while we were doing picks every week. We kind of made it illegal to pick you or Timmy Hill during that process because we didn't think it was fair.
Yeah, it was man, that was such a cool, fun deal. I think had that last caution not come out at Texas, I think we would have beat Timmy at Texas. I mean, that was our opportunity. And then we led some laps at Talladega, which was cool. Of course, that was a crapshoot. We just didn't know. But the fact that we went to all those racetracks, with the exception of Texas and Talladega is a crapshoot, like I said. But with the exception of Texas, every single one of those tracks are like my worst tracks on iRacing. Like I can't stand Homestead, can't stand Dover, can't stand Richmond. Fortunately, I really, really like North Wilkesboro, which I like the big, fast 1.5 mile track. So it ended up being a lot of fun.
So when you heard that it was coming around, were you like, all right, I got this. I'm on top of it, or was it a little more like, we'll see what all these other boneheads do out here?
So all I could think of was all those hours that I spent when I wasn't racing full time. I was working for the Petty Driving Experience as a driving instructor. And when I wasn't working there, I was on iRacing. I mean, like 24/7. I was just like grinding, just doing laps, just because I wasn't. It kind of kept me sane. And I told my parents, I said, after the whole Pro Invitational thing ended and we had the success and we really gained a lot of traction from it, both sponsorship wise and just in the media. I said, hey, you guys never said that I would get anywhere playing video games, and look at me now. So it was kind of fun to do that.
Yeah. We talked a moment ago about, or I guess Jonathan kind of led off with, he was really getting into it so he could get some perks and get to some free races and stuff, and now it's turned into this whole big thing. What are some perks from the other side? So whether it be mom or girlfriends or whoever else that you just kind of call up Jonathan there and say, hey, I need some flowers.
Exactly. I mean, it works both ways, and I haven't had a need for that, but I know Mother's Day was just the other week, and we were just kind of talking about that and just talking about the fact that, I mean, like, how cool is it? It's cool for me. I can't speak for Jonathan, but it's cool for me that my sponsor is sponsoring, like, through all this iRacing stuff. I got to race with a bunch of IndyCar drivers. Obviously we got to drive with the Cup drivers, but to drive with the IndyCar drivers, and all of a sudden he's texting me and saying, hey, can you get the scheme that you ran for the IndyCar? I ran an IndyCar race at Daytona. He said, can you get that scheme? I'm putting it on Tony Kanaan's car. And I was like, how the heck did you pull that off? And so it's kind of cool to see, what he's done in the iRacing community, and then in turn grown that to now he's partnered with Dover. He already partnered with Pocono, but we're going to. It's all like, it's really cool how all this stuff ties in together.
That's awesome. So
yeah, without a doubt.
Jonathan, back over to you. What has been your biggest surprises with sponsorship in NASCAR, and something that something that you didn't think about that now you're having to think about all the time?
Well, like I said, I didn't think it would get to where it was at. It became something as just as cool as say, wow, we actually put our name on a car, and we were on Timmy Hill's car at Pocono 3 years ago, with a logo that was like the size of my hand, and here we are with primary sponsorships. So, like I tell my daughter all the time, is just dream big. You don't know what's going to happen, and we're a smaller, large company. But, we dream big. We have some, really good partners, and it's just an amazing opportunity. It's awesome to see fans from all over the country, kind of get behind us and, asking, when's the next Hero card coming out? Or I did some shirts with Spencer Boyd, and Garrett and I need to get working on some pink and black merchandise too. But, just to see the shirts sell out the first day, is incredible to see that people would want, our new racing logo. They would want to wear that shirt, So a lot of people said, well, I don't always have a need for flowers, or I can't come in and pick up flowers, but, I can support your racing ventures with a shirt. And, that means a lot. I think it says a lot for the, the racing community. And I know from being involved in other sports, like, you're just not going to see, something like that. I'm not going to, have my logo on a hockey jersey and somebody's going to buy a hockey jersey, So it's really unique in the fact that the fan base kind of gets behind it. And like Garrett said, the drivers, the people in the garage, the people that work behind the scenes. I've made so many friends with, even teams I don't sponsor, that I talk to frequently. And I think that says a lot. I think it says that people really buy into what you're doing. And like I said in a recent article, it's just not something, and I even said to Garrett, it's not something that you can kind of set and forget. It's something that you have to get on podcasts. You have to make sure that a driver has a fire suit, or they have some merchandise, or they have, something different to make them stand out. I'm not the biggest sponsor out there, but whoever I'm sponsoring, I want to make sure that it's professional as possible, and I think a lot of people in the racing world are starting to see that.
That's fantastic. So, Garrett,
that makes a lot of sense.
Same question over to you, Garrett. What has been the biggest surprise in working and dealing with sponsors, and especially with Rich Marr?
The biggest surprise, just like overall, or?
Yeah, why not? However you interpret it.
Well, I will say the biggest surprise for me is just the fact that when I set out to be a race car driver, and just like a very, very Reader's Digest version of like how I got to the Cup Series. So I ran Bandoleros when I was 15. I started. Dad was a big race fan. I watched it since I was 2-3 years old. So ran Bandoleros, ran Legend Cars, got an opportunity with the Petty driving experience, worked for them for 5 years, continued to race Legend Cars every once in a while, got to the ARCA Series, and then the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and then Cup Series. And, of course, I say all that. There was a lot that had to happen for all that to take place. But that's kind of, how I got to the Cup Series. So when I set out on this journey of being a race car driver, of course, as a 15-year-old kid, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go be a race car driver, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go drive a race car, and that's it. Well, very, very, very quickly, I realized that you have to do a whole lot more, especially when you don't have big money behind you, when you have to go find it yourself. So that's what I had to do. And so I stopped focusing on racing and started focusing on the business side and the marketing side, and how I can use my platform and my brand to help sponsors be more successful with their companies. And so that's I've transitioned from being just like a full-time race car driver or part-time race car driver, I guess, to being a full-time marketing guy, full-time sales guy, full-time business guy. I feel like I'm on Shark Tank on like a daily basis, trying to find sponsors and things like that. But through all that, I think the most surprising thing is just that I've enjoyed it so much. People all the time complain about money and complain about, oh, if I had this, I could go race this car and this and that and whatever. But in my interpretation, if you stop complaining about it and just go do it and just go make the best of it, we're all in the same boat, right? I mean, if you don't have a giant sponsor, you don't have family money behind you, you're not going to make it. So figure out a way to take what you're doing and go make it. And so I kind of brainwashed myself at first to really enjoy it, and now I actually do enjoy it. It's very gratifying, and it's very gratifying to grow relationships and to grow companies and to help these different companies be successful. And then on the personal side of it, it's been so cool to get to know Jonathan and his family and his company. And I'm going up to Pocono early to go hang out with him and his family, and we're gonna try to go golfing a little bit and have a little bit of fun, on the side of all the craziness going on. So it's been, on the marketing side, it's crazy that I enjoy it so much, and I've grown to really, really love it. And then on the Rich Marr side, it's been a lot of fun to grow that relationship and really, start a friendship that I think is going to be very long lasting. I hope Jonathan feels the same way.
So what do you shoot?
Not good.
Not good.
Yeah.
My bowling score and my golfing score are usually pretty similar, if that tells you anything.
I know what you're saying.
I think Garrett would fit just right in with our golf game, Sherwin.
Yeah, I smell what you're stepping in.
I finally got down to where I can pretty consistently, I feel like, shoot like low 90s. And I feel like if I can really help my putting and then help the, like, I struggle with like the long distance. Like I can chip pretty decent. I can get off the tee pretty decent, but like on par fives, like I struggle with my 3-wood. I struggle with my long irons. If I could dial that in a little bit, I think we'd have something. But I did just shoot my first birdie ever the other day, so that was pretty cool.
Boom.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, playing golf is a lot of fun. Rusty and I both enjoy it very much. Neither one of us are particularly good at it. I like that bowling allows you to score the most points as opposed to the least.
Right.
I get disappointed if I bowl less than a 150. I only get disappointed if I shoot a golf game over 105.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, it really is.
And as competitive as I am as a race car driver, we are all like super competitive. Like, you know, there's something wrong with us because we just want to be the best at everything. But when I stopped like being competitive at golf and started just saying and just accepting, hey, listen, like this isn't like your sport. This isn't your thing. Just go have fun. Then I was like, okay, cool. And now I absolutely love it.
I feel like
well,
I always shoot.
Sorry to interrupt you, Rusty.
Yeah, go ahead.
The best advice I ever got from a guy that I played golf with was, because I would get mad, you know, and I'd smash the club in the ground and maybe I'd throw it around a little bit. And he said, Andrew, this sport is 90% mental and it's 10% physical. And he said, but that 10% physical is also mental. Like, so it's 100% a mental game.
Yeah. I feel like I always shoot in the low 90s except for one blow up hole. You know what I mean? Like it'll be you know, a bunch of bogeys, maybe a par, maybe a double bogey, and then there's like the 8 on the par 3 that you know, it just completely blows up, and you're like, well, I'm not taking an 8. I'm just going to take double bogey so that my card looks, you know, decent when I take this back to the caddies who are washing it.
Well, and to your point, Rusty, the other greatest advice I've ever been given by someone who plays golf is, look, you're not good at this. And so what you're trying to do is not make a double bogey.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and the third piece is my dad always said, a par 5 for an amateur was designed to be 3-7 iron. That's the way the course was always designed to be. But we all want to reach for that driver and swing for the fences.
Right. Right. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask, Garrett, do you know Jensen Jorgensen or the Jorgensen family and Taylor in the Legend series there?
Of course I do. Taylor spun me out one time in Bandoleros.
Yeah, Taylor's got some grit, man. She's tough.
I'll never let her forget it. But no, they're an awesome family. I've been racing with them. I mean, really since I started Bandoleros, and I think they're still doing it. Taylor got a few opportunities in some late model trucks, I believe, down at was it Five Flags or New Smyrna? It
was Five Flags.
Yep.
Five Flags. Yeah, I feel like she did.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like she did pretty good down there. But yeah, they're a great family. We always enjoyed racing with them.
Yeah, that we've had a great relationship with them over the 3 years. Got to meet them in the garage, and then of course our Patreon account has sponsored Jorgen. Jorgen, I always do that. The last 2 years. You know, we let everybody that enjoys listening to this thing that we do participate in that, and you know, we don't take any proceeds from it because there's no value in that. The more value is in supporting racing. But we've had a chance to meet them. They're awesome. Taylor just graduated last year from Georgia Tech. Rusty, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, she's a smarty pants. So that's awesome. Cool too.
Yeah, yeah. She's she'll pass me on the track. She'll pass me on the, you know, written test. Everything else, I'm just in awe. And yeah, it's been really cool going through. You know, for us, it's a I would call it a soft sponsorship. In other words, it's not really our money; it's the PETM's money, and it's the Patreon folks who are donating into this thing. And it's really cool to see that whole thing come together, and then see the stickers on the cars and, you know, being able to go to the races, and we've got T-shirts that have PETM on them now, and it's you know, getting a taste of the type of things that I'm sure, Jonathan, that you've enjoyed, and Jonathan, kicking it back over to you. What are some of the you know, cool things, the things that kind of give you goosebumps when you walk onto the track and see, you know, the Richmar florist all over the car?
It's pretty awesome. You know, I thought it was awesome when it was a small logo, and I still think, you know, so far we've been on Spencer's truck and Garrett's car, and in Josh's car, and I just have goosebumps even seeing the picture. You know, I'm like the proud dad out there, you know, that you know, sees their son or daughter out there playing, and you know, I think it's a pretty cool tradition. You know, if we're not together, he picks up the phone before the race and you know, gives me a call and you know, just talk to each other, try to get his mind off things. And Spencer has taken on that tradition now as well too. So it's a pretty cool tradition to have started with the guys. And obviously it's more fun being there, the sights, the smells, the sounds. You know, you can't replace that, but you know, hopefully it goes a lot longer way for everybody. And I think the guys have definitely shown me that, you know, it goes a lot longer way when people are, you know, turning away from sponsorships or trying to find a way to, you know, get out of them. You know, here we are embracing them. And I'm just grateful that we're still able to do that stuff.
You know, so I had to bring up, Garrett, also, you recently had a career best Cup finish at Bristol, nonetheless. Might as well be, you know, the one of the crown jewel tracks. How did that feel coming out of that race?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, if you would have told me I was going to finish 26th at Bristol in my first ever Cup start there, I'd tell you you're crazy, because Bristol, for a very, very, very long time, Bristol was like at the very bottom of my list of favorite tracks that I go to in NASCAR. So the fact that we were able to pull that off, obviously there was a lot of attrition to keep the car clean, but we ran some really, really good laps. We the Spire boys, Peter Suspenzo, working with him, we definitely made the car a lot better from start to finish. And to finish 26th there in the Cup Series was cool. There was a point in time when 26th in the Xfinity Series there would have been like an amazing day. So to get to do it in the Cup Series with the big boys, it was cool. Obviously, like I said, we had a lot of help with some attrition, but it was a lot of fun. And then to go to Martinsville, kind of building on that, I'm in the minority when I say that I really enjoy mile and a half tracks. I love mile and a half, 2 mile tracks. I love the on throttle, the fastest tracks that we go to. I love doing that stuff. I know not everybody likes those tracks. More short tracks. That's what we hear. But I like the big tracks. And then as of late, I've really, really come around to enjoying short tracks. We went to Martinsville. My second time going to Martinsville was a ton of fun. We unfortunately had a brake issue, but had we not had that brake issue, I think we would have rivaled that finish. I mean, we passed a lot of cars. We passed Suarez. We passed Cole Custer. We passed. If we hadn't have had that issue, we would have driven up into about 23rd or 24th on the first run. So I've really come around to these short tracks. I'm trying. In fact, I need to talk to Jonathan about this. I'm trying to run a super truck at Hickory in about a month. We just went testing with my old Legends crew chief, and then I actually got to drive a late model stock for the first time. I didn't do any late models. Background: I know there's been a lot of talk about late model racing, especially since Vegas in September from Kyle Busch, but I haven't done hardly any late model racing, so no, I don't have a late model win. But as of late, I've gotten some opportunities to run some pro late models, late model stock, just testing. Haven't really gotten to race, but we're looking at doing some of that stuff. So, and then testing a legend car. I was just helping Rick Ware's son Carson Ware out at the summer shootout at the Legends track at Charlotte today. It was pouring down rain. My feet were soaked the whole time. It was miserable. It was cold, but he did a good job. Car didn't come back in a box, which at summer shootout was a good day. So really, after this quarantine stuff, I've really kind of embraced all kinds of walks of racing, and really any chance that I can possibly get to go to a racetrack, I'm there.
Yeah, that's really neat. Getting that diversity of stuff, and Jonathan, you heard it here first. Sounds like you've got a follow-up call coming with Garrett soon.
Sounds like it's going to be an expensive round of golf.
No, I got some ideas. It's going to all work out.
Going to need at least a 12-pack of White Claw. at least.
I'm going to shoot this next question
well,
over.
The part that,
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I was going to say, the part that Garrett left out is that we're also playing golf with Josh Bilecki and Spencer Boyd. So
yes.
we've kind of thrown the offer out there, the Pennsylvania boys against the Midwest boys, but that group chat's been pretty quiet since we threw that offer out there, Garrett. So I don't know what's going on.
I'm telling you, I mean, we got to get something going. Maybe we can live stream it. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. Let you take over social media and have fun with it.
That is a perfect segue into what I was going to ask next, and I was going to swing this over to Jonathan, in that the new class of drivers, if you will, have really embraced the social media aspect of everything. That was what Garrett just said. Hey, we can live stream this thing. We can do this, do that. I know, Garrett, you have your own Twitch stream and brought some folks over, and we appreciate that, onto the chat wall here. And everybody's hanging out. Jonathan, from your perspective, we see folks like Blaney and Bubba and Timmy Hill and other folks and Spencer and everybody who are really embracing the Twitch technologies and all the new social media stuff. Is that something, as a sponsor, that y'all have really started to pay attention to and seeing some, positivity out of?
I think it's changed a lot for sponsors. I think before, all this stuff kind of hit big, so 3 years ago it was building, but it's so much bigger than it is now. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that as a sponsor, it's not so much as important as what track you're at now. It's almost, as important as how much social media coverage you're going to get out of it. How many tweets are you going to get? How many pictures? How many videos? Where you're at with all that stuff. And I think that my drivers do an awesome job of that. They include us in stuff that it's not even race week, and they're talking about us, or they're retweeting us, and that's huge. That's exactly what a sponsor needs. A sponsor needs their driver to be all in with them and buy into them and give them the extra coverage, because that's what it's all about. It's all about building internet content. It's all about building brand awareness. So that's huge. I don't have a problem, sponsoring Garrett, in the South or in the Midwest or, on the West Coast, because I still know that the 12,000, or however many followers he's up to now, are still going to see that. People are going to see that all over the internet, no matter what, even if they're not at the track. Yes, it's a bonus if it's Pocono because, local people see it, or Dover. But at the same time, people all over the country see that now. So it's a huge added bonus to the value of sponsorship that I don't think was there 3-4 years ago when I started looking at this stuff.
Yeah. It's something that, again, I feel like there's a rift in the folks, probably me and Sherwin's age and up, and then like I said, kind of the new class folks. And whether we all call ourselves millennials, I think that's everybody from about 20 years old till 50. It seems like nowadays, but. It's a whole new aspect of it. Garrett, how has that been for you? Has it been pretty natural? Like, hey, this is what we do. I have my Twitch stream. This is how it goes, or something that you've really focused on. How did that kind of all start out with you?
Yeah, I mean, of course, social media has been always important in our sport. It's it's our platform. It's what we can control. It's what we use to help our sponsors out. But as far as the Twitch stuff goes, I dabbled in a little bit back in 2017. I got into Twitch watching a few big Twitch streamers playing H1Z1 and PUBG, which have become very big King of the Hill type, battle royale games, kind of like Fortnite. I guess Warzone's the new thing. So I've always kind of been into video games, so I kind of got into it a little bit. I Twitch streamed for very, very little, and then the Pro Invitational stuff started. To back up, obviously all the stuff with the quarantine and everything, that happened, and then we kind of had to shift gears. We went from absolutely doing everything and being busy every week and racing to doing nothing, and it went from as they say, 100 to 0 real quick. And then it flipped, and we started doing the iRacing stuff, and then it went from 0 to 100 real quick again. and we just kind of capitalized on it and started Twitch streaming. Really have gained a really, really awesome follower base. I know I got my stream going right now. They're in the chat. They're in y'all's YouTube chat. I've been posting the link. So shout out to the Lean stream. But we've really, built a really awesome community where I'm on Discord, a voice chatting service that I've kind of created called the Lean stream chat or whatever. And I get in there and talk to everybody and kind of post updates and post pictures and when I'm at the short tracks I post pictures, when I'm at the big tracks I post pictures. It's really been a lot of fun to kind of navigate this space, this esports kind of world. And obviously we had no idea how big the Pro Invitational Series was going to be, and it ended up being huge. Which I don't know if we mentioned or not, but the first official sponsor for my Pro Invitational 51 Chevrolet was none other than Richmar Florist. So shout out again to them and Jonathan. They kind of went head first in what we were doing, and I think it really paid off for everybody. We've had a lot of fun with it, but no, now we're kind of exploring the different options and opportunities in real world stuff. Obviously, we're slowly trying to bring fans back. Lately the races have been very, very difficult and very different for us, just with all the rules, the fact that we have no fans, the fact that we can't go to our cars until 10 minutes before the race. So we've done some watch parties with with basically my Twitch producer, Josh Mendoza, who actually is stuck in Spain right now. Oh, wow. With all this quarantine stuff. He's kind of been the driving force behind my Twitch channel, and he's been doing some awesome things with Landing Castle. And like coming up, we got the Firecracker 400 with the 1987 Cup package at Old Daytona, which is super, super cool. There's going to be $10,000+ of purse money, possibly more coming through. And just kind of that stuff has been really, really awesome to be a part of. And he had the Landing Castle qualifying challenge, which was super cool. Be a part of, $10,000 to win. I think I won about $15 because I was 31st overall. So I got my money back, but I was just glad to make the show, to be honest. But no, we've found a way to kind of do some different things, and we're navigating it, and it's been a lot of fun, and including guys like Jonathan and some of our other partners and sponsors and our race team, Rickware Racing. It's been fun to kind of have kind of a different avenue, and it's been really fun. I think the coolest thing is just to see the community and what we've been able to build, and it almost they feel like family now. I see my brother's in the chat now, hanging out, so he's real family, but it really kind of feels like a family thing. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's great.
That's really awesome.
We had Rick Ware on 2 weeks ago, Sherwin, and he was hanging out with us, and what a great guy. How has that relationship been for you, and hanging out with Rick and the type of stuff that he brings to the table? For us, it was incredible. Matter of fact, he said, well, I got about 30 minutes with you. And we got about the 30-minute mark, and I was letting him, all right, Rick, why don't you tell the folks? He goes, well, you know what? I'm not quite done with this coffee yet. If y'all got some more you want to talk about. So he was just having a blast. What's it been like for you with that relationship?
Well, first, it's not Rick Ware unless he has a coffee in his hand. So if he doesn't, it's not actually Rick. No, it's been super cool, and not a lot of people know this, but my relationship with Rick goes back all the way to when in 2014 when I got with Mike Mittler. So we kind of had some deals, and he put me in touch. I got through one of my old agents. I got in touch with Rick Ware, and then kind of started talking with him, and he helped me get with Mike Mittler, who unfortunately passed away last year. He gave me my first opportunity in Truck Series, so he's one of the the hardest working guys, probably the hardest working car owner was in NASCAR. He pushed tires. He did all kinds of different stuff. So Rick actually got me in touch with Mike Mittler, who helped me make my NASCAR debut at Atlanta in the Truck Series. And then I got with Johnny Davis in the Xfinity Series and ran with Johnny for 4 years, and had some opportunities in Cup Series with Spire Motorsports and with Starcom. And then it just so happened, just kind of fate brought us back together. And now I'm back with the Rick Ware family. And it is, when I say the family, it is a family thing. Lisa, his wife, is at the shop. They always feel it's definitely a very family feel. I mean, it's the Cup Series, so it's very business. He's a business guy. He knows how to get stuff done. Very charismatic. Very passionate about what he does. But at the end of the day, he cares. He cares about all his guys. He prays with all his drivers before the races, which is really important to me. And just a super nice guy. Awesome to work with. Very intense. He does get very intense, but that's a good thing. I wouldn't want to have it any other way. And he's really built something. He's been around the sport for a long time, doing trucks, Cup, Xfinity. He's done motocross, for a long time, which not a lot of people know. He's got a big road racing background. They just won the Asia Le Mans Series in the LMP2
with his son,
with Cody Williams.
Yeah,
and that's just to see him do all that stuff. And to grow Rick Ware Racing, I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit here, and it's been awesome to be a part of his family.
We started off that show by listing every series that he has been in, or that he's had a car in, or motorcycle, or truck, or anything. And I think at the end he kind of laughed because I don't think he really had thought about that recently, in terms of how many places he's been. And we said he'll race anything on wheels, and I don't know if he's going for like boat racing here soon, but maybe anything off wheels. Who knows?
Well, we should have gone boat racing today, the summer shootout, because it rained literally nonstop up until the features, of course. So that was kind of interesting. So no, it's just cool to be with somebody as passionate as he is about motorsports, and he cares about his guys. He was a racer. Not a lot of people know that. He was a racer, and was a very good racer, and now kind of gone to the car owner side, and he's been awesome to work with.
Fantastic. So one last question from the PTM posse. Shannon Rowe at Fur Love Cats says, she says, who's been the best spotter that you've worked with? Now, I don't want to put anybody on the spot here, so maybe besides that question, if you don't want to answer that one, what makes a great spotter in your opinion?
I've been with a lot of good spotters over the years. It's really cool deal. I'm actually a huge Dale Jarrett fan. He was my favorite driver growing up. And I got to work with his spotter Bob Jeffrey when I got to Johnny Davis Motorsports. So that was super cool. Got to work with him. Got to work with Freddie Kraft. I worked with Freddie for a long time.
Very cool.
In the experience, I probably work with Freddie the most over everybody. We get along really well, and we have a good time for sure. If I'm not racing the Cup Series, and before this was like last year, before 2020 hit, and it all changed. Still don't know how we're gonna get out of it, but we'll see. But Freddie, we have a good time. Freddie and Brett Griffin, they have their podcast that's super fun and entertaining. So he's cool. Tab Boyd's one of the awesome ones that I've worked with. My crew chief in the Legends series, James Edwards, Jimmy Jingles, that's what we call him. He is a fantastic spotter, and really hope that I get to work with him a little bit more. He's done all my fill-in stuff for when we go to the non-companion. So in the Xfinity series, we usually use Cup spotters that are going to the races every week. Of course, when we go to Iowa and the road courses like Road America and Mid-Ohio, it's an Xfinity standalone. So obviously our spotters are going to be elsewhere. So we have fill-in spotters. So James has done a really good job with all that stuff. He actually got the spot for me at the Roval last year too. He's the one that I went to summer shootout with Carson in the Legend stuff and doing some of the late model stuff, late model truck stuff with. So he's been awesome to work with. Tony, he's my spotter. Him and Joey Campbell are my spotters. If it's the 53, it's Tony. If it's the 77, it's Joey Campbell, who's the brother of Doug Campbell, who spots for Matt DiBenedetto now. He used to spot for the 95 car, and then I guess he went with Matt over to the 21. So it's a cool dynamic, the spotters. And then to get back to your question, what makes a good spotter, I think it's just the information that you want. So Joey Logano wants something completely different than I want. Joey Logano wants you to talk all the time. Me, if nothing's happening, I just want dead silence. I just want to focus on my car. I just want to hear the engine. I want to smell the smells. I want to be in my zone, my Garrett zone. And so for me, spotters that give me the right information. Obviously for us in our situation, we're a smaller team. So we're gonna go laps down during the cup races, especially the long ones. So somebody that can give me the correct information on what the leaders are doing, how to not hold up the leaders, but also at the same time not lose any time for yourself. Because if you lose any amount of time, the Cup Series is so competitive. Everybody's so good at the Cup Series level. You can't lose any time. So somebody that can do that and keep us out of trouble, and then just pump you up in the right way. There's a right and a wrong way to pump you up, and it's an art for sure. So I actually made my spotting debut in the late model series.
Oh, sweet. We
have a kid named Zach Keller that is coming kind of through the Rick Ware Racing development ranks, and with JR Courage, he's got a late model deal with Rick Ware, and I've been helping them out. So I was off last weekend in the Cup Series in NASCAR at Homestead, so I got to go down to Orange County Speedway, I guess up to Orange County Speedway, and make my spotting debut, which was the most stressful thing I've ever done. It's way stressful than jumping into a race car, 100%. So those guys definitely are very talented, and it definitely opened my eyes to how difficult that actually is.
Yeah. So Sherwin, it reminded me. So we've actually had Freddie Kraft on the show twice, PETM 166 and 181. Sherwin, we're due for the for his PhD episode.
No, almost said a bad word. Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, we can. He's got the beat.
I need to text old Freddie and say, hey, when you coming back on?
Yeah,
we got July to fill up.
Yeah.
What was he drinking?
Man, those guys. What'd you say there, Garrett?
What was Freddie drinking? What was his drink of choice
for
the podcast?
I would have to run it back because 181.
He said Michelob Ultra. I think he was.
The heck?
I think he was aligned with Brett Griffin, because we've had Brett on a couple times too, and he's the Michelob Ultra champion.
Oh man!
Despite whatever he might say about tequila and anything else on Door Bumper Clear, he's a Michelob Ultra guy. I don't know about Freddie. Freddie's been trying to lose weight, so I imagine he's probably been toning her down a notch or two.
White Claws then.
There you go. Perfect.
He should be.
Perfect.
Listen, next time you have either of them, I am personally sending them a pickleback shot, and they have to take it. So.
Okay.
I don't think either one of them would refuse it.
True.
With you.
Next time they're on, tell them that it's from me. They got to do a pickleback shot.
Okay.
All right. I can promise you, whenever they're back on, I'll have a jar of pickle juice, and I'll do one at least.
Fantastic. My man.
I'm in. Let's talk about the All-Star race for a moment here. Moved to Bristol on July 15th, 1 day short of old Rusty's birthday, so I'll be looking forward to some birthday racing there. Up to 30,000 fans in attendance. And I think the biggest news out of it, it kind of slipped under the table that, we're going to Bristol. And we're moving the numbers on the car up by like 4 feet, and that was the Pitchfork Mafia showed up. I'm curious. So,
I'm in that Pitchfork Mafia.
Jonathan, let's start with you here, because as a sponsor, it kind of leaves a lot of door room for some sponsorship area. What's your thoughts on moving that up, or are you more the traditionalist as well?
Well, I think it's going to hurt. I think it's going to help large primary sponsors, but I think there's a lot of times I'm not the primary sponsor, and that's kind of prime real estate for associate sponsors. So, and not just for the small teams too. I mean, you'll see people there on the Hooters car, the Napa car. You'll see a lot of sponsors. I'm curious to see where they put associates if they're going to give the title sponsor such a large presence there. So I'm kind of mixed on it. I think it's very modern looking, but I would say looking at it from a business side, I would think it would hurt the smaller teams by taking away some kind of valuable real estate there that they're typically used to using.
Mm-hmm. Garrett, what are your thoughts?
He ran off to go get another White Claw.
Okay.
So
Caught me.
Well, he's got a wireless mic, so good for him.
No, I'm back. I actually got a wired mic. I'm back. So I missed what Jonathan said.
Jonathan had mixed feelings.
No, I don't understand the uproar with this deal, because to me, I mean, I get like traditional, like, it's different, whatever. I personally, I thought the numbers on the quarter panel was kind of cool. I thought the numbers on the door was kind of cool, front, rear, whatever. I guess in my situation, I think it's a great opportunity for us to have another, spot on the car to sell. You have the quarter panel, the rear quarter panel, you have the hood, now you have the whole side of the car, you have the roof, you have the lower quarter panel. So now you could put all these different sponsors on. As a sponsor, I would think Jonathan would like the new deal, because it's even better space. But no, I don't. I mean, I get that it's not your typical deal, but I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's a little. I guess it's modern looking. I guess, but Jeff Burton, I think, tweeted a picture of one of his cars back in the late '80s, early '90s, and basically had the same layout. So I'm all for it, man. I love it.
So Sherwin, sounds like you said you were part of the Pitchfork Mafia here. What's your take?
Well, what I want to know is let's see the value. NASCAR has always been very private about what revenue around team sponsorship is. And if they think this is the right way to go in order to generate more revenue for teams so that they can have more money for performance, that's great. I want to see what it is. Every other professional sport lets us know exactly what their professional athletes make, what their revenue is for the team, and what their salary caps are. We don't have that in NASCAR. So in order to break from the tradition of moving the number from the door the way it is today, I'm going to need to see those finances.
I'll say this. I'm looking at Jeff Burton's picture there with it's the Skull Bandit car. Say what you will about the sponsor itself, but that is one sexy looking car. And I got to be honest, when I first saw the kind of prototype picture that NASCAR put out, I thought the same thing. I thought, boy, that's a pretty cool looking paint scheme. I'm okay with this. So, yeah,
so,
I'm not part of the mafia.
So I wanted to ask a question about that. So you say, you have to see the finances to see why it's more beneficial, but how does that change? How does seeing the finances of a number swap to where you can sell an extra space on the car, how does that change how you watch a race?
It doesn't at all, Garrett. It absolutely doesn't change the way that anybody would watch a race. What I want to understand is if they're trying to tell us that there's value in doing it, why they wouldn't share what that value is.
Well, so in my situation, if they share what that value is, if they say this is worth X amount of dollars, then when I pick up the phone and call Jonathan, I say, okay, well, I guess since NASCAR has made it public of what this is valued at, I can only sell you to that value. The whole point about the value in sponsorship, there is no quote unquote value. It's whatever the value that the company wants on it. I mean, it's whatever they see the value of it. There's no set dollar amount. I mean, you can go and get Joyce Julius and see what the value of a certain sponsorship is. But a sponsorship is so much more than eyes on a car, than pictures, than videos. It's a whole collaboration of work, both by the team, by the sponsor, by the driver, by TV. And it's a collective effort. So it's social media, it's business to business, it is eyes on TV, but there's no set value there. So if NASCAR comes out and they say, okay, this is what this costs, 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 then I mean that completely limits what a sponsorship could be. And the fact that NASCAR is a private entity business, if they come out and say all that stuff, then you could potentially devalue the program.
Well, I totally understand what you're saying, and if you look at Major League Baseball as an example, not every first baseman is worth the same amount of money. It's about performance.
Absolutely.
So it's not. I'm not looking for a number value. I'm looking for a percentage value. What does NASCAR think that their potential percentage gain by moving the number and open up more space in a place where they used to have all their contingency sponsors and they decided to pull those off in order to give whatever the primary sponsor or the secondary or the tertiary or the quaternary sponsor is to give more space on the car? Like what percentage value increase? How does that help the team? How does that help the sport? That's what I want to understand.
Yeah, so I mean that's a great example. They pulled all of their contingency sponsors off and made them digital sponsors. So instead of having rights on the car, now all of those contingency sponsors have digital rights. And again, I don't know the ins and outs of what those are. I don't understand, exactly, what value they're being given. But obviously, since they're still, say the official so-and-so of NASCAR, they see value in that. And whether it's pit passes or whether it's, rights on the website, whether it's space at the tracks or what have you, they have pulled those sponsors off and tried to give them, to give us, the race teams, more space. So, I mean, the difficult thing about it is you can't quantify what a specific spot on a car is worth because every single sponsorship is different. That space is worth something different to Rich Marr than to one of my sponsors, Trophy Track, than to Victory Lane Quick Oil Change. Like it's just different. I mean, Victory Lane has a very extensive hospitality program that we have attached to it, and they have their vendors. Basically, we have different vendors that they work with, different companies that do their private labeling, companies, oil companies that they work with, Kendall Motor Oil, for instance. So basically, Victory Lane brings all of those companies together and has a successful sponsorship. So if I could call Victory Lane and move that 53 number up and all of a sudden have a whole side of the car, all of a sudden I can call Victory Lane and say, hey, we have a whole side of the car that we can sell now. They can pick up the phone and call 6 other vendors and put those sponsorships there. I mean, there's no way to quantify what that means. It means something different to Ally Bank with Jimmy Johnson than it means something to Rich Marr. And that's the problem, is that it's different. Like you can't sit there and say it's XYZ, it's this percentage of value, because I mean, let's face it. I mean, the more space is on the car, I mean, you can't tell me that there's not value there. I don't know what percentage it is. I don't know if anybody knows what percentage it is. But again, it doesn't change the product racing on the track, just like it doesn't matter how many people are in the stands. It doesn't change the product on the track. So why talk about it? That's my take. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, it's fine. I love it. I love the contention. It's awesome.
And I love. Yeah, go ahead, Jonathan.
Just to add to that too, it varies per track. Everybody wants to be on Daytona, the Brickyard, but we all know there's less popular tracks too. So on top of varying the values of sponsorship, there's also varying levels on which track the show's at that week. So I think it's really difficult to kind of narrow down and say, okay, yeah, the value is this or that, because there's definitely tracks where it's definitely more valuable. It's definitely more valuable in the South than it is in the Northeast, by no question.
Yeah.
No, only depending on who the sponsor is.
It's a cool perspective from both a driver and sponsorship perspective. Hearing everything that goes into that. So yeah, that's awesome. Garrett, where are you going to be racing next?
Pocono.
We're
going to Pocono.
My man.
One of my home tracks.
So that
Long
means
Pond, baby.
That means since we're going to Talladega next on Father's Day here, you can go ahead and help us out, and we can all make some picks coming up for Talladega. Who do you like at the race there in Alabama?
Well, let me pull up the entry list. This final entry list, even though I race with these guys on a weekly basis. I just want to make sure. Do we get one pick or do we get a couple picks?
Well, you can take as many as you want as the special guest on the PTM podcast.
All right. So my first pick, I'm going to say, is I'm going to go for Brad Keselowski. Because I think he's probably, I'd probably say he's the best plate racer out there right now.
That's true.
So I'm going to go for Brad, and then my dark horse, I'm going to go for Matt D.
Matt D.
All right.
Love it. So, Jonathan, it's over to you as our also very special guest. Who do you like? Who do you look at Talladega?
I'm glad Garrett went first. But, I would like to see Ryan Blaney get it done. I think he's had some opportunities this season to get that done, and he's been riding up there. Him or Chase. I do like the younger guys in the series. I like how fan friendly they are. But I do love Matty D. I am a big Matty D guy. I like what he does. I like how he is with people. So I would kind of agree with Garrett. I would love to see him in victory lane as well too. So I would like to see some of these up and coming guys, pull into victory lane. And I think Blaney's due. So we'll see what happens.
Sherwin, why don't you give us a pick?
Didn't I beat you last week?
I can't even remember because we had two races and it got a little crazy there in Martinsville and all the lights going off and at Homestead and everything. I don't even remember. I'll go. I'm fine with that.
I finished third with Blaney.
Nice. When it comes
Homestead,
to Talladega,
so I think I beat you.
When it comes to Talladega, I keep calling it the short tracks of super speedways because I've really grown to like the racing there, as I've talked about many times on the PTM podcast. And while we were there, we saw him win it. We saw multiple people win, including Chase Elliott, including Joey Logano. I'm going Joey Logano again in this race. Sherwin, up to you.
Everybody's already stole my picks. So you leave me with no choice than to be a homer. So I'm going to pick Chase from the same place from Dawsonville, Georgia.
There you go. Love it. Jonathan and Garrett, I know we've stolen a lot of your time tonight, more than we even agreed upon, but we're more than excited to have you both on, and thank you both. Jonathan, why don't you close us out, and then we'll get Garrett as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having us. It's always fun to hop on these things, and I've been fortunate to hop on with the other guys, and now finally Garrett. Garrett's been riding me about all the podcasts that I do, so I'm glad to include him in this one.
Excellent. And where can the folks find you online and on social media?
Find us online, richmarflorist.com. Our Twitter, Instagram are both at richmarflorist, and facebook.com/richmarflorist. So we deliver all over the country. You know, we're based out of the Lehigh Valley here in Pennsylvania, but no job too big, no job too small. And if you like racing, you know, please consider supporting the only florist that sponsors NASCAR.
That is fantastic. And gentlemen of the PTM posse, why don't you go on right now, richmarflorist.com. Order something for the old lady. I know she's going to love it. Yeah, y'all know she's going to love it. And you know, just a little something special. I might do that a little later myself. And, hey, ladies, guys don't mind flowers every once in a while. Make it happen. Make this a thing. But, yeah, love y'all. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for putting this whole thing together. It's been a blast. Garrett, why don't you tell us where we can find you on social media? What's coming up next?
Well, just a few things before we get going.
Okay.
First of all, Jonathan does more podcasts than I do now, so take that to the bank. I don't know how he does it. Second, before we got off on the whole number tangent, how cool is it that the All-Star race is going to be at Bristol? That is going to be a barn burner. That is going to be such a good event. It's going to be awesome. Rickware Racing is going to have 3 cars in the open. Hopefully I'm in one of those cars, sponsorship pending, but regardless of what happens, that's going to be an incredible race event. 30,000 people in the stands is what they're saying. I'm super, super excited to see it as you know, obviously I'm a competitor, but I am a fan at heart. So just to see somebody like Chase take a chance and send it, as they say, down in there, and wreck Joey Logano. I can't imagine what those guys are going to do with no points, no consequences, and $1 million on the line. Man, that is going to be awesome. Tune in Wednesday night racing, prime time at Bristol. Can't wait to see that.
Can I please get 1,000 horsepower back?
Oh man.
Well, that'd be nice. Hey, at least we're going low downforce to Bristol now, so it's you know, one step at a time, I guess. But no, thank you guys so much for having me on. This is a long time coming, Jonathan. I guess you're my agent for this one, so thanks for putting this deal together. Had a lot of fun drinking my White Claws. Yeah, this was awesome. We'll have to definitely when I'm down in Georgia, I'll have to look you guys up, and we'll have to do some golfing or something like that.
Right on. That sounds good. The PTM golf tournament is on. Garrett, where can the folks find you on the social media and elsewhere?
At Garrett Smithley across the board, everywhere. I got Instagram, Twitter. There's all kinds of stuff that I got to keep up with now. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, not TikTok. I'm not on there yet.
Don't get on there.
I have an account, but I can't. I'm not on there. But Twitch, come join the Lean stream. I got some merch coming out very, very soon. Hopefully we're going to add some Rich Mar stuff to that. Got some cool stuff coming with Rich Mar. We're going to run that paint scheme, hopefully something similar at Pocono. I hope I can say that, Jonathan. I already said it. It's live. Sorry. But we got Rich Mar at Pocono for the doubleheader. First doubleheader for the Cup Series. Well, I guess we've kind of it's the first official planned doubleheader. We'll say that. So super excited to see how that goes. But excited to I think I'm going to go back home for a little bit, which is going to be cool to see my grandparents and everybody, all my family up there. So that'll be fun. But yeah, it's been a blast. Hopefully we can keep this deal up, and we're going to do a lot of racing here in the summer months. It's going to be fun.
Excellent.
Well, next Rolling Rock's on us.
That's right.
Sounds good.
Oh, well, fellas, we can't thank you enough for being on the show and hanging out with us for a nice Tuesday evening here. We'll start closing this thing down, and we'll catch y'all later. Very much appreciate it. Sherwin, why don't you tell the folks where they can find you, and I'll get that music started, and we'll get going.
Yeah, well, as always, you can find me at Pregame Engineer on the Twitter and at Andrew L. Sherwin on the Instagram.
All right, and Garrett, Jonathan, good night. Have a great one. Garrett, you know who we're rooting for coming Pocono. I'm gonna have to get me some of that swag there. But with that, y'all, we're closing this thing down. Y'all know what the deal is. You can find us at PTM Podcast, PTMPodcast.com. As always, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor, and we'll be back with you next week for another show. So can't wait to talk to y'all then. Thank you again, Garrett and Jonathan, for being on the show. What a cool deal to hear the sponsorship side, the driver side, everything else. We'll talk to y'all next week. Take care. Stay safe.
Revving engines get to roaring, fans are screaming, drinks are pouring. We are NASCAR. Drop the flag, foot on the gas, and let's go, 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 go. And it's full throttle, it's wide open, it's cold beer bottles and good times rolling. We're built for speed and we ain't slowing down. It's found in the groove, it's the thrill of the chase. It's running on fumes in a checkered first place. We're stealing wheels and racing hard. We are NASCAR, we are NASCAR.
That's a wrap, fellas.
Sweet.
Appreciate you being on, Garrett and Jonathan. I don't know if Jonathan's still on. We're live on YouTube and everything, but that is it for the recorded portion of the show there. Other than what remains on YouTube after this whole thing is done. But yeah, that's
Garrett, could you actually hear the sound there, or were you just dancing around to something else?
No, I am muted for a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know?
So
do you know Sydney Lett?
Do you know Sydney? Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, so
I love that song.
Yeah. Well,
she let us start using that music, what, about 3.5 years ago, Rusty?
yeah, something like that.
It's a great song.
Yeah, so we use that to open and close. But the way Rusty's soundboard works, a lot of times that audio doesn't actually float through to the various feeds.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Well, Garrett, we'll let you run. I know you said like right around an hour, and here we are.
It's all
beyond
good,
that.
guys.
We
all good.
we just we get rolling and have fun and all that, and it's a blast. We do this just as a goof, just as fun, and here we are. 4 years later, still rolling it. So back when we started,
You've had some good guests too.
Yeah, we're pretty proud of the lineup and everything. When we started this thing, there were no other. I think really the only other NASCAR podcast was Marty Smith and Ryan McGee doing their thing, and we were like, well, we sit around talking NASCAR. Why don't we do that on the mic? And we completely sucked at it for probably 50 episodes, and then kind of got into a groove, and then only kind of sucked at it for the next 200 episodes. So.
Perfect.
Yeah, right. So,
yeah. Well, hey, and Rusty, we forgot to announce our half decade anniversary.
Oh, has it been 5 years?
I think was last week.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's hard to say, with all the COVID stuff going around and trying to remember all that stuff. Has it been 5 years? It has. We were 2015.
Oh yeah, it's over. We're over 5 years.
Wow. Well, how cool is that? That's so much fun.
Thank you so much, Garrett. We really appreciate it. We can't wait for the next opportunity that makes sense for you to come on. It was so cool that Jonathan was able to organize this. It just kind of happened out of nowhere. He sent me a message, and I was like, yeah, this sounds awesome. And he's like, what if I bring on one of my drivers that we sponsor? And I'm like, yeah, whoever you want to bring them on. He goes, it's going to be Garrett Smithley. And I was like, holy shit. That's going to be awesome.
I appreciate it. No, I know it's been a long time coming, so I'm glad we made it work. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. And I don't know if Jonathan is still on, but appreciate him hanging out with us and everything too. Garrett, we'll let you run, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll catch up soon. And like I said, you know who we're rooting for coming up soon in Poconos. So we'll be looking for that swag. And next time we're allowed back at a racetrack, we'll definitely be looking for you and hunting you down.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks, Garrett.
See you.
Folks, that'll about settle us out. Appreciate y'all
There it
hanging
is.
out with us on a rando Tuesday night and having some fun. We're going to shut the old stream down. And, Beast says Garrett needs to go for his PTM PhD. That's in another couple, episodes of being on. But we'll look forward to that. Sherwin, good times.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, just letting Garrett talk was so much fun.
Yeah, right on. Folks, PTM Posse, you're the best. Hope y'all had fun. We know we did.